Habits of Happiness is sponsored and hosted by the Mindful Life program. The Mindful Life program helps people engage in life in healthy and meaningful ways, reducing stress while cultivating genuine happiness. They offer programs locally, internationally, and online. More information at www.mindfullifeprogram.org or 970-633-0163.
Habits of Happiness is also sponsored by Paradise Bakery, located in the heart of Aspen on the corner of Galena and Cooper. A favorite hangout since 1981. Famous for fresh-baked cookies and muffins, serving homemade Italian-style ice cream, lattes, and fine coffees. Open daily from 6:30 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Hello and welcome to Habits of Happiness. I'm John Bruna.
And I'm Laura Bartels. Together, we run the Mindful Life program based in Carbondale, Colorado. And we are delighted to be back here today with the opportunity to have another show and talk about yet another topic around habits of happiness.
Yeah, this episode we'd really like to investigate mindful moments and how they can really reset your day and bring about some relaxation and ease to the daily life that we engaged in.
So let's dive into that question. You hear about mindfulness and these practical sort of activities that have to do with sort of being in the present moment or maybe gaining some insight. And it would be great to talk about some and really look at what do they do for you and how does it relate to happiness and do they really work?
Yeah, the research has been showing all types of varying degrees of benefits and outcomes for people that do some very simple exercises. So it always, comes up with the question, how can something as simple as taking a minute to breathe or to be aware of my body, how is that really going to reduce stress in my life and how effective could that really be? What we've found, though, is that these opportunities to take my mind out of a lot of thought, a lot of rumination, a lot of worry, a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of anticipation, that the mind is really going, as we've talked about on previous shows, that really busy mind. These little simple exercises give an opportunity to let go of that and bring our awareness somewhere else, which is kind of like just a reset, just a really nice opportunity to let go of a lot of rumination and just refresh and be in this present moment.
How about an example of one so that we can start with maybe even an experience of one and then sort of unpack what that looks like?
Sure, yeah. Let's invite the audience to participate in something we call grounding in the present moment, and I can lead that. So for those out there, we can invite everyone to just be real comfortable and get your feet on the floor.
Okay.
Okay, it's nice to have both feet on the floor. This is really about our feet. It's about grounding in the present moment. It only takes, it could be a minute, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
So everyone out there, take a moment to sit up and be comfortable, relaxed, at ease, and have both feet firmly planted on the ground. Okay. So as we're seated with both feet firmly planted on the ground, that idea of firmness, we want to relax that for a moment. And just take a moment to be aware of the breath. Let the breath be natural and just be aware of it. And now, I invite you to just wiggle your toes. Take a moment to wiggle your toes so you can really feel your feet. And then relax your toes, let them come to rest. And see if you can be aware of which foot has more pressure on the ground. Which parts of your feet have most contact? Can you be aware of all of your toes simultaneously? Can you be fully aware of your whole right foot? Can you be fully aware of your whole left foot? Again, be aware of your contact of the foot on the ground. And see if you can just relax your feet and let them just relax into the ground. And now I invite you to open your eyes and be here in this moment. So how'd that feel for you?
So I notice a few things about that. One is that I really quiet my mind and I'm very focused, and it's easy to, you know, to have something like your foot, something very tangible to notice. And you know, the thoughts I was having before about, you know, what we're talking about, you know, here we have a new show that we're doing, that wasn't in my mind at all.
Yeah, so that's one of the key benefits is you'll notice as you do a very simple exercise like that, which didn't take long at all and can feel quite good, really allows, when you're aware of your feet, you're not thinking about a bunch of other things. And so you'll find that this is a very common theme with most of the tactile mindfulness practices. Mm-hmm. They have you become aware of something in your body, you know, at your breath, you know, in this case, the feet. And when you're aware, when you bring your awareness into this sense, what you're not doing is thinking, worrying, stressing, and all of that can, you know, it's like just cut right through that process and allow a new breath and a new moment. And so grounding in this present moment, this moment as it is right now, and it provides a window of opportunity then.
An example of when we've used this is when we teach mindfulness classes. It's usually an evening class, or often, and people have had busy days, a lot going on in their lives, and they get to class and you know, in their mind, they've brought with them, you know, maybe the argument they just had with their teenager, or stuff going on at work, or a phone message they just got. And we do this grounding in the present moment. And all that just drifts away, and it allows them to really be there and be clear and be present and ready to participate. And really helps to be less stressful for them, too, because as you hold all that other stuff, and you're trying to pay attention, you're really multitasking, which is stressful. So people really seem to enjoy that, to really help them be present.
Yeah. The opportunity to now be present, to now be in a group, or to now be in a meeting. It's a great thing when I'm working with corporations and companies, little skill set to be able to, before even starting a meeting, to become present and then again set a motivation, intention. Why are we in this meeting? What do we hope to accomplish? Mm-hmm. You know, taking a breath and then, you know, by grounding in the moment, then bringing up an intention. Let's be in this meeting and let's be here now. It's a really nice thing to do before you sit at the computer. You know, so often we get at the computer, we got stuff to do, we have emails that are going on, mm-hmm. that it's before I sit at this computer, before I just rush into the next thing, to really just be here, take a few breaths, and now remember, you know, and bring some focus into the email I'm going to do, or what I'm going to do on the computer. And it might help prevent the idea of just getting swept away with the computer and swept away with this search or that thing, and really allow us to be much more effective and present in whatever activity we're doing.
Now, it'd be interesting to see, you know, just carry this activity into how it relates to happiness. So being present and, you know, reducing stress. Let's talk a little bit about where that can take us. Yeah. These just simple tactile exercises.
Yeah, the key is to really try to practice them throughout your day, so that it's a habit. You're building some habits, and just, you know, I like to invite people to give themselves a little R&R, a little relaxation. This is a moment to nourish yourself, to wiggle your toes, to relax and to breathe and invite yourself into this moment that will never come again. And if you do that, you'll find it's just in itself very rewarding. But if you build that habit, then it's accessible when you are stressed, when you are caught up in things. For example, I just came back from California, so I was at a couple airports, and airports, as you know, can be quite stressful. People will get pretty worked up at airports, and you know, flights that get delayed, and security and all that. And when you're mindful, it's such an opportunity to change what could be a stressful experience into a really wonderful experience. So as I'm at the airport and we have, you know, my flight was delayed, one of the things that I've stopped doing in my life is waiting. You know, waiting is so overrated and not fun at all. When you're waiting for something, and these moments of waiting can be really stressful, and you're not really enjoying them because you're waiting for something, a flight or whatever. But when you have a mindfulness practice where you can wiggle your toes, become present, well, now you have an opportunity to reframe this whole situation. Rather than waiting, I actually now have time to relax and enjoy a cup of coffee. You know that being at an airport, I'm actually in a pretty comfortable chair. They had frozen yogurt, and they had, you know, coffee houses, and you know me, I love coffee. So rather than being delayed or stressed or waiting, I had an opportunity to just relax. And you know, we work so hard and we're looking for those times to relax. Well, now I had time to relax, have a cup of coffee, and then look around at everyone. And as I'm relaxed and comfortable, I got to observe, you know, different families and them coming together, and people traveling, and people watch and engage in a couple conversations. You know, a lady just came back from Napa, and you know, photos with some friends. And now the experience at the airport becomes, rather than stressful, anxious, or you know, worried or waiting, now I get to just enjoy and be present with the people around me and have a cup of coffee.
Yeah, yeah. Let me bring up too another, not exactly tactile, but observing type mindfulness activity that we use also, which is notice three things with three senses, and just talk about how that differs a little bit and stuff. Do you want to introduce that activity?
Yeah, so noticing three things with three senses, another one that can be developed. It's a great, great exercise, is to just pause at different points to your day, and then bring some awareness. So to senses, maybe senses of feeling. So take a moment with a sense of feeling. Do you feel maybe a breeze on your face? Do you feel the pants on your leg? You know, bring some sense of what do you feel, and then maybe sight. You know, three things that you see. Notice three things that you see, and you know, I might be looking at Mount Sopris, where I live in Carbondale, right? And I might be noticing, you know, just a butterfly or something.
Yeah.
Three things that you see, and three things that you hear. And it's a really wonderful exercise to just take a moment to actually be where you are and notice what you feel, what you see, what you hear. You pick senses. We have other senses as well, but just three senses and three things. What a friend of mine, Mark Maloney, who's helped us with the Mindful Life program, he uses just a modification of that, of just noticing three things.
Yes.
And he's noted that there are times where maybe he was actually going to go in and do a presentation. He wasn't prepared for it. There's hundreds of people out there. He's about to walk in. And he just paused and he noticed three things. And, you know, looked around, noticed three things. And in just that short time, what it did was it took his mind off the worry and the stress, brought him in that moment, and he went out and had a great presentation.
Right. I was on our way up here to film today. I was using that exercise of noticing three things with three senses. And one of the delightful things was, as we came up the highway, there was a really narrow center divider, maybe just about that far apart, the two guards. And right in the middle were these beautiful yellow sunflowers coming up. And I'm sure I would have never noticed that had I not been practicing that.
Yeah.
And it was a delight to see, such beautiful life coming up in the middle of a highway with cars, trucks going either direction. So it's really wonderful. Yeah.
Right. Instead of being in a hurry or going somewhere, instead of
Yes.
going somewhere, you're being somewhere and you're enjoying this beautiful drive up the Roaring Fork Valley, which is not
Yeah.
too shabby.
Not too shabby. I also wanted to bring up that there's another kind of mindfulness exercise that is a little bit different. It is more pointed towards sort of gaining some insight or some clarity about situations. For example, we lead a weekly mindfulness group, and John was away this week, and Monday nights in Carbondale we meet and people gather in, and we talk about our mindfulness practice and support each other, but then at the end we hand out a mindfulness exercise. This exercise for this week is around emotions, and it's coupled with a quote, an inspirational quote. This week has something to do with the idea that you are not your emotions, and your emotions will come and go, and you'll still be here. So the exercise this week is just throughout your day to notice your emotions come and go, and just be aware of how they arise and how they also go, and that they don't stay that long. So let's talk about insight with these exercises. This is a different sort of
Yeah,
role.
so, when mindfulness, when we really try to apply that in our life, the little exercise that we do, they give us a moment, right? They give us a moment, but they're not a fix-all, right? We still have life's problems and the
Sure.
events and challenges and a ruminating mind, and, these little moments, do not fix everything. And I would beware of any research study that says, just do this and, you'll no longer have stress, worries, or fears. The real tools of mindfulness is a context. So a context with other practices and how you live life. So to live life mindfully, these little exercises are really wonderful, very beneficial to, again, bring us into the moment, give us a breath, and then look at a moment more accurately.
Yeah.
And that's where you're talking about the insight. So now that I can be here, maybe I'll start to notice something about habits or things that are not very helpful in my life. And one of these insights is I am not my feelings. And when we're having a feeling, we are really our feeling, right? We're very
Right.
identified.
I am angry, right?
Yeah, I'm really angry. I am really happy. I'm
Right.
really scared. I'm really sad.
Yeah.
And when an emotion comes, we really identify very strongly with it, and we enter a refractory period. And at that point, we really can't see outside of that very well. And so we have noticed that when your friend's in that emotion, we can see clearly, and we can offer them great advice. But when we're in the emotion, it's a different story.
That's right. And we defend
Right.
being in that emotion too. Yeah.
Yeah, because we just can see only through that.
Yeah.
And so if we can start noticing when we're not caught up in big emotions, powerful emotions, in our day, if we just start noticing little emotions as they arise, a little happiness, a little joy, a little fear, a little anxiety, and we start noticing them and we observe them come and go, we start observing their transient nature, then we gain a little insight that, wow, yes, I was a little nervous, and that left. I was a little, joyful at that moment, and that left too. Come back. And you'll notice that throughout the day we have lots of little emotions that come and go. We're not emotional all the time, but they come and go, and we notice that they are transient. They are not me. They are an experience I'm having at that moment,
Right.
and it will come and go.
And the gift, I think, of that, as we talked about Monday night, is that when we're in an emotion that we're not too fond of having, we'd rather not be having this particular emotion, as we begin to get that sense that they come and go, we can realize that this won't last forever. It's uncomfortable right now, but we know that they come and go. And conversely, when we're in a really wonderful emotion, something we'd love to hang on to, we might have a better sense of appreciating that moment and really enjoying that and savoring it because we know it won't last forever either. So on both ends, it gives us some ability to to have more awareness around that.
Yeah, and so getting back to this piece of uncomfort, right? One of the real insights in wisdom is that by being able to just be a little uncomfortable and allow a feeling or a discomfort to come and go without acting on it, we're going to find a real opportunity to empower our life and challenge the impulses that we have. And we'll start to notice, this is a great insight, we'll start to notice that we have lots of attachments, habits, and tendencies that are already in our mind, and they get triggered. So emotions, they get triggered, and then they arise. So, for example, you and I, we're having a nice talk, it's wonderful, and I feel good, everything's fine, and you tell me that you just, you're planning on going to Kauai, you're going to Hawaii, you're going to have this wonderful vacation. And now a minute before that, I wasn't thinking about Hawaii, but now I'm thinking about Hawaii, and what may pop up in my mind is, I'm not going to Hawaii. And in a moment, what gets triggered is, wow, I really would like to go to Kauai. I love Kauai. It's a wonderful place. I would be so much happier if I was in Kauai.
But now, a minute ago, weren't you just fine?
I was fine before we mentioned Kauai.
But then I mentioned it.
And now I'm sad because now I don't get to go to Kauai.
Yeah.
And all of this has just happened in my mind. And so what we start to notice with that practice you're talking about around mindfulness is noting how emotions or desires can be triggered, but they're transient. I was pretty happy, and now Kauai, now I don't get to go to Kauai. Now I really need to go to Kauai to be happy. When none of that was actually true, I'm sitting very comfortable, very well, and in the moment I'm in, and everything I have, there's nothing missing. But on very subtle things, I like to use popcorn. Okay, I could be perfectly well, not hungry at all. I start smelling popcorn.
All of a sudden,
I'm hungry. Now I really need some popcorn.
Right.
And it gets in my mind, I'm looking for popcorn. And if somebody brings up ice cream or something, then I have a desire that arises, but it wasn't there before the trigger coming to our consciousness. So mindfulness, if we can start to notice and not react, not go with the impulse, allowing an impulse, a desire, a feeling come and go without doing anything, you may notice that hunger for popcorn came and went. You might notice that the desire for Kauai will come and go. And then I'm actually here in a pretty beautiful place, and that life is quite wonderful as it is.
Yeah, interesting. So as we come to a close of this show, it'd be interesting just to tie again this piece of how could we use these simple exercises throughout our day, and the idea of you had mentioned earlier this morning this idea of non-forgetfulness. Do you want to just mention that piece? I think that piece is helpful as we talk about mindfulness.
Yeah, so right now, here we are. We're having a great discussion. We're remembering what's really important. We're remembering I don't need, to act on every desire. But when I wake up tomorrow, the first thing in my mind is, I want to feel good. I got stuff to do, and I get busy. So one of the first things is, as soon as you can, first thing in the morning, is to, as quickly as possible, start shaping your motivation for the day. The sooner the better. So sometimes it's nice to have a little something right on the nightstand, to remind you, here's a day that will never come again. How do you want to live it?
Yeah.
And then remembering that, set an intention to do a few of these exercises to reset your day and remember what's important. One of the exciting news things that I'd like to share with everybody out there is we've just started a Mindful Life community to really help you remember what's important in your life. So the Mindful Life community provides everyone with a daily email, a daily inspiration, a daily lesson, and an invitation to actually participate in a mindfulness activity that day. So you know, in all these years now of working with people and leading retreats, what I found is we get inspired, we have this wonderful knowledge, but it's really hard to put it into our daily life. So
Yeah.
this community becomes that opportunity to remind everyone every day and invite them with an activity. And then they get to join this community in phone calls and group conversations, and in those dialogues really empower to I guess the key I really want to emphasize, to sustain.
Yes.
To
yes.
sustain the changes they want to make in their life, to live more mindfully. So I do invite all of you out there to take a look at the Mindful Life community. You can go to the Mindful Life program website. But there's resources, there's meditations, there's all types of tips. But most importantly is there's a daily invitation.
Yeah. So what that helps us with is to not forget to keep coming back to the moment, but also what's important to us.
Right.
Right.
Because coming back to the moment's one thing, and that can only be done with practice.
Right.
But what do you do in this moment?
Yeah.
And how do we change habits that aren't very healthy? And how do we incorporate habits
Right.
that are really meaningful in
And
our
we've
life?
talked before about first being present, and then once we're present, remembering what's important, and having that opportunity to have a choice. And each show, we have a habit of happiness that we share. And I thought it's probably about time that we share the habit for this week. And I'll go ahead and share this. This week's habit is grounding in the present moment. So we invite you, as we did in the beginning of the show, John led everyone in grounding in the present moment, a very short exercise that can fit in wherever you are. Take a few moments to really be thoughtful throughout the day, to stop, ground in the present moment, and use this exercise as an opportunity to really relax, come back to what's important, return to the present moment, and remember, how do you want to show up in your day, and remember that this day will never come again. So we want to. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't miss an opportunity to wiggle your toes and be here now.
Yeah. Great opportunity.
All right, well, thank you for sharing Habits of Happiness with us once again. And I wish you well, and may you be mindful and happy.
Habits of Happiness is sponsored and hosted by the Mindful Life program. The Mindful Life program helps people engage in life in healthy and meaningful ways, reducing stress while cultivating genuine happiness. They offer programs locally, internationally, and online. More information at www.mindfullifeprogram.org or 970-633-0163.
Habits of Happiness is also sponsored by Paradise Bakery, located in the heart of Aspen on the corner of Galena and Cooper. A favorite hangout since 1981. Famous for fresh-baked cookies and muffins, serving homemade Italian-style ice cream, lattes, and fine coffees. Open daily from 6:30 a.m. to 11 p.m.